Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sandy Frank's political podcast for a people's movement against the corporate fascist state. I am your host, Sandy Frank. Thank you for joining me right now. It is February 3rd, 2017. And today we're going to talk about the strategy for our people's movement against the corporate fascist state. So how do we do this? What is our best course of action in terms of strategy for protest and action and activism, and how do we do this? How do we create a people's movement against the corporate fascist state?
Watch out, vehicle stopped on shoulder ahead.
So, and I'm coming to you from my car. I wanted to take this video, make this video to talk about something a group of people are trying to do in order to take back the Democratic Party. So today we're going to be talking about my skepticism toward the Justice Democrats, the organization founded by several people but mostly started by Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks. And so today we're going to be talking about my skepticism toward this style of political action. So the Justice Democrats are still carrying a lot of hope for the Democratic Party, which we have seen has been completely destroyed. And even in its destruction, the Democrats still aren't even owning up to the fact that it was their fault that Bernie Sanders was cheated and Hillary Clinton was installed and Donald Trump is now the president. This is the fault of the Democrats. Around the time that Bernie Sanders dropped out, and I'm no fan of Bernie Sanders for doing this, for condoning the election fraud and the completely rigged, fraudulent primary. I'm no fan of what Bernie Sanders did. But around the time that happened, people who want to blame the Republicans and Donald Trump for all of this, for winning, whatever. Donald Trump, when Bernie Sanders dropped out, Donald Trump did a tweet saying how happy he was that the corrupt Democratic Party cheated Bernie and installed Hillary Clinton, because even Donald Trump knew that he was going to win when going up against the corporate-backed Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump is also a corporate fascist, but he's a corporate fascist that his type of supporters will vote for. And the irony or the ridiculousness of the Democratic Party, the so-called People's Party, thinking they're going to put in a corporate fascist and everybody's going to shit their pants to vote for her. So obviously that didn't happen. And obviously Hillary Clinton did not win the popular vote. Obviously there was so much cheating going on, but not even enough cheating to get her to win. But so today we're going to be talking about the strategy of these Justice Democrats and how it's really a failed strategy, and how I really think that Cenk Uygur knows this. Cenk Uygur is so establishment. Good God. Cenk Uygur is just this ridiculous person who has the progressive movement by the throat. He himself is barely a progressive, and good God, the Young Turks program is just nonsense. Oh my goodness. I've been watching I've always consumed a lot of different types of media, and I've been, watching the Young Turks since like 2006, 2007. I've been watching this, but I guess I really kind of got into the Young Turks during the Bernie Sanders campaign when we were all this big coalition of the progressive movement, a lot of different ideas, a lot of different kinds of people, a lot of different kinds of not just progressives, but we all came together. Over 13 million people voted for Bernie, and this big movement came together to try to get Bernie elected. And so, even though I have my problems with what the Young Turks says and their ideology and their nonsense, their Donald Trump TV, their Donald Trump show every fucking night, even though I had problems with that, we were all willing to come together to try to get Bernie elected. And it was a really great time. The different types of coalitions that Bernie Sanders was able to bring together without corporate money to try to do this. And so I think the Young Turks, seized the opportunity to become this like big, important, media movement during the Sanders campaign. But now that Sanders is over and we're not voting and we're not electing, I think it's time to really look at the Young Turks for what it is, and look at Justice Democrats for what it is, and their death traps. They're really ridiculous, places where progressive ideas and all different kinds of ideas. Again, this is a people's movement. Even though I describe my politics as progressive, we want all different types of people to be involved. But yeah, we've seen the Justice Democrats' strategy so many times. The progressive who's cheated of the ticket, and then the progressive movement that they brought together to get some change. They form these kind of Justice Democrats movements that are built to fail. And Cenk Uygur and all of these people know that these movements are built to fail. So let's go through the history of these change the Democratic Party from within bullshit movements. And the first time I had heard, it explained this this way. It was from David Cobb of the Green Party, who he worked on Jill Stein's campaign. I'm not sure if David Cobb was Jill Stein's campaign manager. I know that he worked for the Jill Stein campaign, and he explained it very well. That it all started in the 1980s when the real progressive Jesse Jackson was cheated of the Democratic ticket. What did they do? What did this progressive movement, this actual progressive movement, not corporate Democrats, but actual progressives wanting change, what did they do? What was their idea? Their idea was to start the Rainbow Coalition. I'm sure we've all heard of the Rainbow Coalition, and it was an organization founded to reform the Democratic Party from within and to find a way to elect actual progressive Democrats, progressive candidates, rather than corporate Democrats. And what happened? It was a complete failure. The Democratic Party was so weak, as they've always been. They tried to keep the Rainbow Coalition quiet for as long as possible, so the Democrats could keep taking corporate money. And this led to the era of, because of weak, paid to be weak Democrats in the 1980s and the early, well, in the 90s, but in the 1980s, the Reagan and Bush, as if they were so popular, they really weren't. It was just that the Democrats were also so unpopular because they were corporatists, because they were hypocrites, because they said one thing and did a completely different thing. They said they stood up for the people and the workers, but what they actually stood up for was their corporate donors in the media and in pharmaceuticals and in defense and so many others. So we knew in the 1980s that these Rainbow Coalition Justice Democrats organizations were born to die, were made to fail. And so but yet, this lesson, of course, wasn't learned then, and so now we move on to 1992, when the Democratic primary for the presidency was between Billy Boy Clinton, corporatist, fake progressive, actual Republican, secret Reaganite monster, Bill Clinton, versus Jerry Brown. Someone I'm not the biggest fan of, but Jerry Brown, during at least the 1990s, was a pretty progressive person. He very much fought against Bill Clinton and called Bill Clinton a corporatist and called Bill Clinton a secret Republican and said that Bill Clinton was no progressive. I mean, Jerry Brown, during this time, was one of the leading progressives in the United States. And so he tried to expose Bill Clinton for what he was. And, I'm sure it worked on some extent with people, but it obviously didn't change enough to change the corrupt Democratic Party that installed Bill Clinton. So the real progressive, Jerry Brown, was cheated, and Bill Clinton rose up and became the president. And so what did Jerry Brown do? He formed this basically the same thing as the Rainbow Coalition, which is We the People. A little, sounds a little more specific than Rainbow Coalition. So We the People was the new Rainbow Coalition designed to reform the Democratic Party from the inside through a progressive movement, and it was meant to elect actual progressives to the Democratic Party, and it was a complete failure. The Democratic Party continued under Bill Clinton to become more and more corporatist. All of the bullshit that happened in the Clinton administration, Bill Clinton gutting welfare, blowing up the prison population, Bill Clinton, what else did he do? He repealed the New Deal banking regulations. Bill Clinton, he was a huge corporatist. Everyone knows this. He did so many terrible things, and hurt and destroyed unions and so many other things. Oh, but he balanced the budget. Yeah, but he balanced the budget by fucking gutting welfare, blowing up the prison population, destroying unions, raising up the bankers who would later destroy this country. And so, of course, We the People couldn't stop that because it was, again, born to die, a born to die organization. And of course, as time went on, Jerry Brown became more and more corporatist, and up to 2016, where he endorsed corporate fascist Hillary Clinton. But we move on. Next was the the 2004 Democratic primary. We had the corporatist, John Kerry, the Yaley, skull and bones, fucking corporatist out the yang, John Kerry, and he was the corporatist, versus the actual progressive in the Democratic primary, which was Dennis Kucinich, the actual progressive, or the more progressive candidate. I mean, we saw Dennis Kucinich stand up for single-payer Medicare versus Barack Obama a few years back. So, Dennis Kucinich has some progressive credibility, and he did in 2004. And when he didn't get the nomination because of the Democrats' corporate meddling of the controlled corporate fascist media, Dennis Kucinich, when it was over, what did he form? He formed an even better name death trap, the Democratic Socialists of America. Listen to that name. That name really hammers it home. Rainbow Coalition. Oh, that sounds like it's kind of a progressive movement. Oh, then We the People. Oh, that sounds very progressive. People, a people's movement. Workers, people. And now this time around, Democratic Socialists of America. Great name. Listen to that name. That's a fantastic name. Democratic Socialists. So the names keep getting better. But of course, the corporate corruption of the Democratic Party continued. Now this is the third time. This is the third time in how many years that this plan has been tried, and this plan totally failed. 3 times. 3 strikes, you're out, people. Good God. Democratic Socialists of America went on to, pave the way for the corporatist Barack Obama. It was a complete failure that accomplished nothing, that got us nothing but Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama battling it out as 2 fraud progressives. So that movement, of course, a complete failure. So fast forward now to the year 2016 with Mr. Bernie Sanders and Mr. Jeff Weaver, when they were cheated through election fraud. And by election fraud in the Democratic primaries, we're talking about our voting system being done on computers that is controlled by the government that we know nothing about. And so all of the exit polling shows us, and just so much information shows us, that Hillary Clinton and the Democrats stole the fucking votes. Whenever there was a write-in, Bernie Sanders would win by ridiculous margins. And whenever there was computer voting, of course, Hillary Clinton steals it. Oh, God. My next video is gonna be on the election fraud, and I'm gonna give the whole history of the Bernie Sanders primary, and just how much. Oh God, just give the history of it and just explain how much it just destroyed me. Watching all this shit happen, and then seeing these Hillary supporters like, you're losing, you don't know. I couldn't fucking stand it, man. It was terrible. But, okay, so Bernie Sanders gets, defrauded of his, presidency. Imagine if Bernie Sanders was the president right now, what our lives would be like. But, so Bernie Sanders gets cheated. Bernie Sanders is a fraud, so he doesn't say anything about it. And him and Jeff Weaver, corporatist Jeff Weaver, form Our Revolution. Our Revolution. Again, this was months ago. and Justice Democrats and young Turks have not learned anything from the fucking failure of our revolution from fucking months ago. Okay, so they start our revolution, and right when it's getting started, basically everyone, the higher-ups all quit because Jeff Weaver was named to the head of it, and they're okay with getting some corporate donations, and they're okay with all the bullshit. So our revolution fails, and fails badly very early. Our revolution is exposed as a fraudulent organization that is nothing but a death trap to sheepdog progressives into a fucking mousetrap of the Democratic Party. And thanks to people like Debbie Lusignan, the Sane Progressive, we were very easily and quickly able to expose the bullshit and the nonsense of our revolution. We were able to do it quickly, so people weren't just completely sheepdogged into this death trap of a movement. So our revolution, so we have Rainbow Coalition, We the People, Democratic Socialists of America, our revolution, all failures. Okay. And so now, Justice Democrats and the Young Turks seem to have forgotten all of this history. They seem to have forgotten what is the fate of the 4 times this was attempted in the Democratic Party. So I don't think that Cenk Uygur doesn't know this. I think Cenk Uygur is very aware of it, but I think Cenk Uygur is a corporatist who is only interested in growing the Young Turks and turning our news media into the fucking Donald Trump show. If we blame people like Rachel Maddow and CNN and MSNBC for raising Trump up, for giving him all this free media that won Trump the presidency, that converts people to white nationalism. This free media that we give these Nazis, all this free media, it does nothing but recruit more Nazis, right? So, we all know about the Geraldo Rivera show in I believe the 1990s, maybe the late 1980s. Geraldo Rivera had a show on a talk show, and on the show, he once had an episode about bringing on neo-Nazis and, people in support of civil rights to both come on the show to have a discussion. And so what happened on the show is that, a civil rights person, rightfully got very upset at neo-Nazis, and a brawl broke out on the show, and the show was broadcasted, and it got very high ratings among a lot of different types of people, but especially neo-Nazis, because they knew that the show was going to be about neo-Nazis, so a lot of people were watching. And so the show, that episode ended up recruiting, as we learned, there was a spike in neo-Nazi recruitment, a spike in neo-Nazi white supremacist crime. But what happened with that episode of TV is that whatever channel it was on, I don't know what channel played it, but they would play that show because it got such high viewers and ratings that the network would play that rerun a lot. They would play that rerun a few times, and every single time they played that rerun of the glorifying of neo-Nazis, we would see more spikes in white supremacist crime, more spikes in people being recruited into white supremacists movement, and so the network, the media that was giving those Nazis media time, we know that they were responsible for it, for giving neo-Nazis a platform, just like UC Berkeley did, giving neo-Nazis a platform. We know that when you do that, you raise up, you recruit, you create more white supremacy. So when we talk about Donald Trump in 2016 and CNN and MSNBC and NPR and all of the establishment media giving Donald Trump billions of dollars of free media, we of course with that see a spike, a huge spike. We're talking about billions of dollars of media. We see a huge spike in the rise of white supremacy. And MSNBC knows this, and CNN knows this, and the establishment Democratic fake progressive media knows this. They know that they are creating white supremacists, and they know that they are giving Donald Trump power. So, doing this, the Young Turks doing the Donald Trump show night after night, everything Donald Trump would do, wah, Donald Trump, the GOP is, they're pretty bad, but they're no Trump. Oh, they're no Trump. Trump is the worst. Trump is horrible. So the Young Turks is just as responsible as CNN and MSNBC for Donald Trump. Yes, I'll give it to the Young Turks that they gave Bernie time. MSNBC, CNN, NPR gave Bernie Sanders no time. A complete media blackout until there was about to be fucking riots outside of CNN for blacking out Bernie Sanders. Yes. Okay. So CNN and MSNBC blacked out Bernie Sanders. There were people voting in the Democratic primary, which was being cheated, who didn't even know who Bernie Sanders was, for I'm not sure how many contests where this blackout was occurring during the voting. The Democratic establishment media, so democratic that they don't give you any fucking information. Of course, Hillary Clinton is the candidate, of course. But the Young Turks at least wasn't doing that. They were, I think that Cenk Uygur wanted Bernie Sanders to be the president, but I think that once it was over, and they saw it was over, and they saw that Bernie Sanders was sufficiently cheated, I think, Cenk Uygur's brand of progressivism kind of wore off. And that's because Cenk Uygur is a sellout. Let's be honest about it. I know Cenk Uygur likes to say a lot about how, he doesn't want to be friends with the politicians and the corporate media. I know he says this a lot, but it's really, frankly, just not true. There's definitely a reason why Cenk Uygur was fired from MSNBC, because he took a stand. He stood up for workers, and him and Ed Schultz and Bashir and many others were fired from these corporate media outlets for criticizing Barack Obama and the establishment, Democratic corporate fascist establishment. Okay, so there was a reason why Cenk Uygur was fired from MSNBC. Guys, there was also a reason why Cenk Uygur was on MSNBC in the first place. He's a corporatist. He's not a progressive. He's interested in cushy establishment bullshit media that makes him popular and raises his corporate standing. Let's be honest, he's establishment. There is plenty of media out in California. There is plenty of cocktail parties that Cenk Uygur goes to. And just because they don't have John Bolton there or Republicans or whatever, it doesn't mean that these LA, New York media, online media millionaires and billionaires aren't establishment. That's ridiculous. And you see it in all the content, in so much of the content that the Young Turks put out. It is nothing but Donald Trump TV. It is nothing but the Donald Trump tweet roadshow. I watch the Young Turks, and it's honestly, it's like watching the Antique Roadshow, that TV show, with, instead of antiques, you got Donald Trump tweets. They bring out and examine all of the bullshit from Trump, and you're gonna get a lot of bullshit from Donald Trump. He's like a fountain of bullshit. But they do 2-hour shows where they're just going, Donald Trump, wah, 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 Donald Trump, wah, wah, wah. And they're doing things like calling Elizabeth Warren and Kirsten Gillibrand a progressive. That's ridiculous. So they bring out Donald Trump tweets for 2 hours and then call Elizabeth Warren a progressive. And she's not. She's a corporatist. And if you call Elizabeth Warren a progressive, you're not a progressive. You are also a corporatist. Cenk Uygur and the Young Turks are corporatists. Let's be honest about it. But yeah, so now we move on to Justice Democrats. We move on to this 4 times failed bullshit movement. The last time it failed was literally months ago, and if you think the Young Turks don't understand this and don't really care about reform inside the Democratic Party, because they have theirs, they have their money, and they're fine with the Democrats being a complete failure of an organization, it's bullshit. And Cenk Uygur should be fucking ashamed of himself for raising up this bullshit Justice Democrats movement that will do nothing but fail. And he knows this, and he doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit. Let me tell you, Cenk Uygur is completely fine with, for the next 2 years until the midterms, and the next 4 years until 2020, he's fine with doing the Donald Trump show. In fact, it has made the Young Turks more popular, and it will continue to make the Young Turks more popular over the next 4 years. Let's be honest, people like MSNBC and CNN pretty much wanted Trump to win. They had no problem raising him up and blacking out Bernie Sanders and Jill Stein. They had no problem raising Donald Trump up to elect either of these two terrible corporatists, because let's be honest, if Hillary Clinton was president right now, she'd be doing the same shit as Donald Trump. She'd be continuing to bomb these countries, and she would, of course, have banned she would have, of course, done a Muslim ban like Barack Obama did 6 times, like Barack Obama did. But the only difference would be there would be no hashtag Muslim ban, the same way there was no hashtag Muslim ban for 8 years under Barack Obama, because he put the Democratic establishment toadies to sleep. And so Hillary Clinton would have done the same thing. And so now that Donald Trump is the one banning these countries instead of Obama and Clinton, all of these establishment Democrat toady morons have come out of the woodwork and said they care about Muslims and said they care about the ban, when most of them are still okay with bombing these countries because Barack Obama brainwashed them. We now have we now have this movement being controlled by the corporatist likes of MSNBC and CNN, who are doing nothing but sensationalizing. What has been accomplished over the last few days since Trump became president and did the Muslim ban? What has been accomplished with all of these protests at the airport and the Women's March? First of all, the protests themselves, what are they demanding? Which is nothing. They're not saying anything. And what have they accomplished? Which is also nothing. Okay? So these big corporate fake movements that are doing nothing but saying, Trump is mean, Trump is mean. They're not accomplishing anything. And so, these corporatist-backed movements are exactly like the Justice Democrats, which itself is taking corporate money. So we need to learn from the bullshit of the Justice Democrats and the bullshit of these corporate-backed protests. We need to learn that the change and the revolution is not going to come from inside the Democratic Party. We're not going to change the Democratic Party, and we're not going to get a revolution through the Democratic Party. It's not going to fucking happen. What we need is a people's movement against the corporate fascist state, is what we need. We need an independent, non-corporate organization that is looking to take the 46% of American voters, of U.S. voters, who define themselves as independent. We need to create a partisan people's movement that can bring together all people of all ideas, of different beliefs and values and whatever, to all come together against the corporate fascist state. We need to find common ground, which is our want to take down the establishment government, and we need to come together and create action, and actual revolutionary strategy and politics, which is protest, which is boycott, which is strikes and sit-ins and walkouts. We literally need to shut down the system. That's what we need to do. I know there's a lot of organizations calling for boycotts. There's the injustice boycott, and I know there's a boycott being set up for February 17th. If we need to, these are good ideas. I'm not so sure about the organizations themselves, but these are the ideas that are what revolutionary politics are. We need to create an independent organization outside of the establishment power structure that can create these strikes and these protests and these boycotts and these actions of non-cooperation. And I don't hear Justice Democrats talking about boycotts at all. I don't hear Justice Democrats talking about non-cooperation against the establishment government, including the establishment Democratic side. I don't hear them saying that. I hear them saying, in 2018, we're going to give it a shot. All of this fluff nonsense designed by Cenk Uygur and corporatists to keep progressives quiet. Because Cenk Uygur, over the next 4 years, wants to be like MSNBC and CNN, and he wants to get a lot of power and money from the anti-Trump media frenzy. The Young Turks and MSNBC and CNN want to basically do what the Republicans did in the term of Obama, which is Fox News became extremely powerful, the Tea Party formed and it became extremely powerful, and these were nothing but corporate extensions of the Republican Party, sheepdogging Republican people, Republicans and conservatives and what have you. So that's exactly what the Young Turks and Justice Democrats and MSNBC and CNN are doing right now. They're trying to create a controlled opposition bullshit movement that they claim is for justice and for taking down the establishment, but is what is actually for strengthening the Democratic establishment, strengthening the establishment fake progressive media, so in 2020 maybe they can put in Kirsten Gillibrand, just as big as a corporatist, just as big as a corporate fascist as Donald Trump. Okay? So, you know, we need to start the never Gillibrand and the never Warren and the never Michelle Obama and the never Bernie Sanders hashtags right now. We need to show the Democratic establishment that they're done, that it's over, that this establishment Republican Democratic machine is now over. And we do that by not falling into the death trap of Young Turks and Justice Democrats, but we start with a people's movement aimed at getting that 46% of independent voters. Because when we have that 46%, and we can get this 46% easily, when we do this, you know, the straddlers of the Democratic and Republican government, they will, you know, they'll flock to our sides when they see this popular people's movement. So this is our goal. This is our goal, and we need so badly not to fall into the Justice Democrats' death trap. So badly. But you know, we need to create some sort of movement. The Bernie Sanders people and the people interested in real change need to come together and form this people's movement. So we here we are. So yeah, we really, how many times are we going to fall for the Justice Democrats nonsense? This nonsense of these really just obviously Democratic operatives. You can't call Cenk Uygur anything but just a fraud Democratic operative who is doing nothing but you know, creating more of the problem, who, you know, comes out night after night and does the fucking Donald Trump show. He just nothing but corporatist nonsense. He goes GOP all day long. He goes wah GOP, but will call Kirsten Gillibrand a progressive. That's nonsense. And if you believe that, you're a dumb fuck. You know, in New York, Kirsten Gillibrand and Chuck Schumer, these are no friends of the people. These are jokes. These are people not to be trusted, especially Chuck Schumer. If we're talking about the worst of the establishment government, you can't say anything about Donald Trump until you say something about Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer, this boil on the face of the American political system, this fraud and this millionaire corporatist who's just taking all of this money and the Young Turks expect us to bow down to this fraud. Chuck Schumer and Liz Warren, who the biggest corporatists of them all. And if your news source, if you're watching the Young Turks and they aren't criticizing Chuck Schumer and Liz Warren and the Clintons and the Obamas the same way that they will go, wah, Donald Trump all day long, then you got a problem with your news source. You got a problem with where you're getting your information from, especially if you're a person who is easily tricked. I have a Master of Fine Arts in media studies, so I have what people would refer to as a skeptical eye. So that, because I am very skeptical, and I've been trained to be very skeptical of news media, I am able to watch things like Young Turks and MSNBC and CNN and Fox News and Breitbart and these things, and I can watch these things and not have my opinion molded by them. But, as I've said in this video before, the United States is the least educated nation in the world, and that means that people don't know that much about news sources and, the information put out by these news sources. So if someone just turns on CNN and knows nothing about politics, which is a lot of people, their opinions are just based on the small little thing they saw on CNN, briefly. And think about it. There's so many people who just aren't very politically active. There are so many people who will do nothing but, turn on CNN for like 5 minutes on, just to what they think is getting informed for like a little bit. Like some people will say, like, I'll go to, NewYorkTimes.com or CNN.com for a couple of minutes a day and kind of learn, current events or something. And this is a lot of people. And that forms their opinion. And it's CNN saying things like Donald Trump is Satan and the establishment government is doing their best to stop him. That's every story coming out of CNN and NPR and MSNBC and the Young Turks. That's every fucking story. And it tricks people, and it's powerful. Again, with the Geraldo Rivera story, we need to understand that it is a fact that mass media moves people and influences people in gigantic fucking ways, in huge ways. The mass media does this. Giving Donald Trump billions of dollars in free media is one of the most powerful things you could possibly do. And it's exactly why he is the president. Donald Trump wasn't popular. Nobody wanted to vote for Donald Trump when before CNN and MSNBC gave him all the coverage. Nobody wanted to. But it was exactly because of giving him all that time that made a lot of people vote for him. And it was lying about him too, as in saying the establishment government are the good guys and he's the bad guys. For like diehard conservatives, that made them support Donald Trump even more. They not only gave him all the free publicity, they turned Donald Trump into a rebellious anti-hero badass who was going to come in and fuck with the establishment. They made him this, like, Wild Ones, James Dean figure of this anti-establishment figure, when in reality, Donald Trump is the most establishment figure that there ever could possibly fucking be. So, we have the Young Turks and the Justice Democrats doing the same exact fucking thing. We have them raising up Donald Trump night after night. The Young Turks becomes more and more popular as the days go on with the anti-Trump movement. It's the same thing that happened to Fox News under Obama. People were addicted to the anti-Obama bullshit. And I'm no fan of Obama, as you know, but people are addicted to that media bullshit, and it warps people, and it fries people's brains. And now, if we don't do something about it, as if we don't smash this pattern of the corporate establishment media playing Reds versus Blues with our press, with our lives, we'll get, first of all, we'll get 2020 Donald Trump, and then after that, 2024, we'll probably get another Democrat establishment corporatist like Barack Obama, the enemy. Donald Trump and Barack Obama are the enemy. So we really need to form this movement, you guys. I'm fucking serious. We really need to create our own independent media of the 50% of independent voters in this country who want solutions. They don't want fucking conservative ideas or Republican ideas or Democratic ideas. They want solutions to these problems. They want their democracy back, which is basically what it is. We don't have and we've never had a democratic republic in the United States of America that prides itself on its constitutional democratic republic. We don't have one, and we've never fucking had one. Ever. Not ever. We've had a corporatocracy forever. Since 1776, since 1780s, when the Constitution was put into, was enacted. So for the first time in the history of the United States, we need our democracy, and we need it badly right now. So this people's movement, one of our first goals has to be reforming our government and our media in a way that will give us an actual democracy. And that's the media is the most important part. The reason why no one knows this about why we no longer have a democracy, the reason why no one knows this, that we live in a corporate fascist state, and that's a fact. The reason no one knows this is because of the media is completely controlled by corporations. I mean, thanks to Bill Clinton in 1996, now all or most of the media in this country is controlled by the corporations. Most of the 90% of the 95% of the media in this country is nothing but public relations firms for the corporate establishment, for the corporations and the corporate government. And the Young Turks is doing nothing but continuing this pattern of bullshit. Listen, I like some of the Young Turks. I like Jimmy Dore. I like Jordan Sheridan. I like Steve-O. These people are pretty good. They're doing some good things, and it's good for Cenk Uygur to be given these kinds of people a platform, but that doesn't absolve Cenk Uygur from what he's really doing, which is trying to destroy independent online media and destroy media in general. He's just basically MSNBC and CNN online with basically nothing else. That Young Turk show is terrible. It's god-awful. The Donald Trump Antique Roadshow, where they just observe his bullshit tweets and call it journalism. It's not fucking journalism. So we really need to rally behind people like Glenn Greenwald and people like Chris Hedges and people like Abby Martin and these types of journalists over corporate frauds like Cenk Uygur and the Young Turks. And we need to do it, or we're fucked. I mean, we're already fucked. I mean, we've been fucked forever, but we need to unfuckify our establishment government, and we'll only do that with a free and fair press and independent media. And we need to fight for it. We need to come together now, and we need to understand that we want all people to come together, differing ideas, because that's what a democracy is. I think the Democratic Party might have forgotten that. democracy is a lot of different ideas, not just the corporate ones. But yeah, again, Justice Democrats and the Young Turks are nothing but a death trap, and they need to be destroyed and taken down. And we need to do it sooner rather than, any second later. So don't buy into the Justice Democrats. Go check out Sane Progressive's channel. Go check out Truth Dig, The Intercept, actual journalist, media outlets. And yeah, fuck the corporations, fuck the Young Turks, and fuck Justice Democrats. I am Sandy Frank. Thank you for listening. Please like this video, share this video, retweet, comment. Let me know what you think, and let me know what you'd like to see in the next one. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one.